Hello, students of class 10, Environmental Science, Lesson 8, Waste. It is defined as waste because it is rubbish thrown out. Got it? Waste is also known as rubbish, trash, refuse, garbage, junk. In any unwanted or useless material, we call it as waste. In other words, any materials unused and rejected as worthless or unwanted and a useless or profileless activity using or expanding or consuming thoughtlessly or carefully. Is that clear? This is the definition. The second definition is from the WHO. Now we are going to learn about waste. Environmental problems include air pollution, water pollution, and solid waste disposal. You have learned about air pollution, water pollution, etc. It is unfair to classify solid waste as being deleterious to a single part of the environment. Rather, solid waste problems transcend traditional environmental boundaries and contribute to air and water pollution as well as land pollution. At all levels of development, human beings produce domestic waste. At the very minimum, these comprise kitchen waste, ash wastes from fires, broken utensils and worn out clothing. In a small agriculture community, nature readily accepts these waste into a natural cycles. Animals consume food residues and other materials are rapidly incorporated into the soil. So when we take about types of soil like this, we get so many waste, children. Got it? The industrial revolution in the temperate countries concentrated people in urban areas of very high population density and added new sources of waste. That is not only agriculture and kitchen waste. Got it? They classified it into solid waste, liquid waste, gaseous waste, animal products. Got it? Animal byproducts, biodegradable waste, chemical waste, commercial waste, business waste, biomedical waste, hospital waste. Got it? Bulky waste, and many waste, children. Like that. Industrial waste. Like that. Apart from any question of public health, it was impossible to accommodate these wastes arising at the rate of 1 ton to family per year within the urban areas. Thus, in those countries where industrialization came early, services for the regular removal of domestic and trade waste have been in operation for hundreds of years or more. Many changes have taken place during this period. The character of waste has altered in line with rising living standard, changes in retail distribution methods and fuel technology. The volume has greatly increased. Storage methods have evolved from open heaps through the portable containers to expandable containers. Transport has changed from horses to motor vehicles and from open truck to compactor vehicles. New problems have arisen. High-rise buildings have come. Supermarkets have come. Industrial waste have come in many kinds. Got it? And it is usually efficient solutions have been devised. Got it? That is how types of waste also have changed. Solid waste are now termed. Now you have learnt one definition that is very important, children. So now it is intentionally to describe non-liquid waste materials arising from domestic trade, commercial, industrial, agriculture and mining activities and from the public services. Non-liquid is a relative term because a sludge of certain kinds fall with the scope of solid waste management. These arise primarily from industrial source and from sewage treatment plants. Got it? Solid waste comprise countless different materials like dust, food waste, package in the form of paper, metals, plastic or glass, discarded clothing and furnishing, garden waste and hazardous radioactive waste. Domestic waste have three main characteristics: weight generated, density, and constitute very these vary not only from country to country but from the town to town within the country according to the level of industrial development. Got it, children? That is why it is defined as a non-liquid, non-soluble material ranging from municipal garbage to industrial waste that contain complex hazardous substance. Solid waste also include garbage, rubbish, demolition products, sewage treatment residue, dead animals. Got it? Per capita waste has increased now from 1 kg to 2.5 kg per day. Got it? And even dead animals, manure and other discarded materials all are called as solid waste. Got it? So many other factors like the range of weight generated by person day usually lies between 250 and 1000 grams worldwide, and density varies from 100 kgs cubic meter to 600 kgs per cubic meter. Thus volume may range from half a liter to 10 liters per person per day. The main constituent of domestic waste vary from so many kinds, that is vegetable, got it, putrescribed matter 20% to 75%, and inner metals 5% to 40%, paper 2% to 66%, glass 0 to 10%, metal 0 to 15%. Got it? So this method of capacity of storage, got it? There are various systems, children. Out of that, rational decisions solid waste systems are started arising. This method of storage, correct type of collection, so many methods, children, which you are going to learn further. Got it? See, agriculture, fisheries, household, commerce and industry. Got it? Household waste as municipal waste, and industrial as hazardous waste, biomedical waste and hospital waste as infectious waste. These are the three types broadly they concluded. Got it? And various methods of disposal. Got it? What has to be done? That is most important thing. Got it? So the disposal method may be conditioned by proportion of sealable material that could be recycled, vegetable content which may be compostable, paper or plastic contents which could be sources of energy. Is that clear? Just solid waste are vast, just now you have seen. That is hazardous, infectious and all. Got it? So four main aspects we have to keep in managing solid waste. Storage at near the point of generation, storage at point of generation itself, collection, street cleaning, disposal, etc. Got it? Matter in the wrong place is also called as solid waste. Got it? So it is very important to dispose. So you have learnt now wood, glass, just now I am told orally, and this is a pie chart, okay, of characterization of municipal solid waste. Now hazardous waste. Industrial and hospital waste is considered hazardous as they may contain Toxic substances. Hazardous waste could be highly toxic to human, animals, and plants. They are corrosive, highly inflammable, or explosive. In the industrial sector, the major generators of hazardous waste are the metal, chemical, paper, pesticide, dye, and rubber goods industries. Direct exposure to chemicals in hazardous waste such as mercury and cyanide can be fatal. Now coming to hospital waste or biomedical waste. Biomedical waste means any waste which is generated during the diagnosis, treatment, or immunization of human beings or animals are in research activities pertaining thereto, or in the production or testing of biological waste. Biomedical waste rules in 1998 changed. It may include waste like sharp waste, pathological waste, pharmaceutical waste. Pathological waste means that pus, blood and all will be there, no, that one. Genotoxic waste, chemical waste, and radioactive waste. Got it? Effects of solid waste. A health hazard. If solid wastes are not collected and allowed to accumulate, they may create unsanitary conditions. This may lead to epidemic breakout. Now it is, you are seeing, no, Wuhan market, very unsanitized, and now we are seeing the pandemic eruption. Many diseases like cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, plague, jaundice, gastrointestinal disease may spread and cause loss to human lives. Got it? In addition to improper handling of solid waste, health hazards of workers who come in direct contact with the waste. Environmental impact. If the solid wastes are not treated properly, decomposition, putrefaction may take place. The organic solid waste during decomposition may generate obnoxious, that is intolerable children. Obnoxious means which is not pleasant to the nose. Obnoxious. Got it? So waste management concept must be followed properly. Is that clear? Health and environmental implications of the waste, children. Then we'll go how it has to be managed. Got it? That recycling, 3 R's formula, yeah, we will go into. There are potential risks to health and the environment from the improper handling of solid waste. Got it? Direct health risks concern may occur for the workers in this field. Got it? That is what we have learned. No, first workers also will be affected from skin contact with the waste. The National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, India, has carried out studies that show higher incidence of intestinal parasites in the collectors of domestic waste. Got it? Than the population as a whole. There are also specific risks in holding waste from hospitals and clinics. For the general public, the main risks to health are indirect and rise from the breeding of diseases like vectors, primarily flies and rats and mosquitoes. The improper storage of disposal provide the conditions under which these risks arise. Pandemics, epidemics, now we are seeing. The most obvious environmental damage caused by solid waste in the countryside by uncontrolled dumping in the city waste. More serious, however, and often unrecognized is the transfer of pollution to water which occurs when the leachate from the refuse dump enters surface water waste, either in the open air or in the plants that lack effective treatment facilities for the gaseous effluents. Industrialization introduces dangers of different kinds, hazardous waste, and industry present risks during transport and disposal. Traffic accidents can result from waste. They have caused death and injury to the people in the vicinity. Improper disposal of such waste has resulted in death of humans and animals through contamination of crops or waste supplies. Finally, the specific danger is concentration of heavy metals in food chain problems, illustrating the relationship between solids and other waste. Biomagnification, we have learnt in previous lessons. It has sometimes happened that liquid industrial effluent containing heavy metals have been discharged in a drainage system and have contaminated the sludge as leaving a treatment plant. These metals can be taken up by the plants growing on the land on which sludge has been deposited, creating risk to the animals which gaze and humans who consume these animals. Biomagnification, bioamplification, bioaccumulation, you have learned in your previous lessons. Got it? Now, reuse, reduce, and refuse. 3 R's. How to be followed? Refuse characteristics. The generation of domestic and trade waste is remorseless and continuing process. Throughout the day, housewife is performing so many tasks like sweeping floors, trimming vegetables, shopkeepers discarding packing materials, spoiling goods, shoemakers is paring leather. Almost every member of the world, this world, population is continuously creating waste one other kind. In the case of human body waste, a sewage system provides facility to transport from production point to disposable place by continuous flow process in pipes containing water. And despite the successful use of pneumatic transport in underground pipes at a few residential developments in Europe, no such methods is generally practicable for solid waste. Thus, refuse collection must be batch process or a serious batch process whereby wastes are stored at a point of origin for a given period. Before transfer to a vehicle, the contents of which represent one batch of many arriving each day at the disposal point. The main source of these solid waste for which municipality normally assures responsibility for domestic premises, shops, offices, hotels, institutions and small factories together with refuse swept from the streets, domestic waste often account for 75% of total waste. As a personal income rises, paper increases, kitchen waste decline, metals and glass increase, total weight generated rise and density of the waste decline. There are often local variations in waste generation and constituent proportions over weekly and seasonal cycles. The farmer is related to the pattern of work and leisure and later seasonal food products and sometimes to fuel residues arising from the space heating in winter. Got it? As the personal income increases, the waste also will start increasing. Got it? So refuse methods of waste management hierarchy. Now we are going to learn. There are a number of concepts about waste management which vary in their usage between countries or regions. Some of the most general widely used concepts are waste hierarchy. The waste hierarchy refers to the 3 R's: reduce, reuse and recycle, which classify waste management strategies according to the desirability in terms of waste minimization. The waste hierarchy remains the cornerstone of most of waste minimization strategies. The aim of the waste hierarchy is to extract the maximum practical benefits from the products and to generate minimum amount of waste. Refuse collection. The many methods of transferring waste from the storage collection the direct emptying of portal storage container into the vehicle, normally used when the vehicle can be positioned close to the container. The emptying of portable storage container into transferable container, which is then emptied into the vehicle, normally used when the storage container is some distance from the vehicle in order to avoid the return walk with the empty container. That is, you will see every day in your house, near your house, one big van will come, big container, and one lady will be pushing. we will go empty the container and come back. That is how refuse collection will be done. The transfer of waste stored at ground level, which usually requires that the waste be racked or shoveled into the vehicle. These three categories have been set out in ascending order to work content. Thus, the first is the most efficient in terms of labors and vehicle productivity. It is also the method of minimizing human contact with the waste. Is that clear? How waste is properly managed. Travel between successive collections depends first upon the spacing. When those are some distances apart with large communal storage sites, travel by motor vehicle, although it represents test time, will be at normal road speed and the collectors will ride on the vehicle. It is thus an efficient method of transporting and workers between sites. When collection in the form of house to house, however, the collectors will walk the short distance between containers and the vehicles will move slowly and at intervals. Isn't it? We'll keep it outside. They come slowly at the intervals and take it. For this element, the motor vehicles very ineffectively employed. It incurs heavy transmission wear and high fuel consumptions. Hand carts and animal carts are much more efficient. They operate at their optimum speed and no energy is used while they are stationary. Got it? In near our house, the lady will push and come, no? Like that. Got it? So thus labor productivity decline as a team size increases. More team members if you take, the labor will increase. Got it? Vehicle productivity, vehicle charges, expenses also will be reduced. The delivery process, when a full vehicle travels at normal road speed from the collection area to the disposal site, represent maximum productivity for the vehicle, but lost time for the collectors if they accompany it. Got it? So we can draw these conclusions following conclusions. Minimum physical infrastructure requirement area, central workshop with parking space for motor vehicles and district depots for mustering and controlling collectors, hand carts and animal carts and location of depot should minimize travel time between depot and working area. Systems which provide for the direct emptying of portable storage containers into vehicle offer the highest productivity and low health risk to workers. For the collection waste direct from houses, large teams give low labor productivity and higher vehicle productivity. Hand carts and animal carts may be more efficient than motor vehicles for the house-to-house collection phase. Motor vehicles are the most efficient for transport to complete loads from the collection area to the disposal site. That is what in Bangalore we see. Amma Kasa Haki, the Kabali Wadi will come. Then we will give the things and they go and they put it, isn't it? 4 basic collection systems have been involved in relation to the amount of work imposed upon the householder. Communal storage, which may require delivery of the waste by the householder over a considerable distance. Block collection, where the householder delivers the waste to vehicle at time of collection. Got it? Curbside collection, where the householders put out and later retrieves the bin. Door-to-door collection, where the collector enters the premises and householder is not involved in the collection process. Got it? These are also the strategies. Then after collection, what to do? So after collection, it is disposal. So first is sanitary landfill disposal. Land disposal or more accurately by burying of waste is the only approved method of disposal which is performed at a single site. Incineration, composting, and salvage are either a form or refuse handling or processing. They are not complete methods of disposal and they require disposal of residue or removal for sale or internal consumption of compost. Landfilling is not really a self-contained method of disposal because matter can be leached by water moving through the system. When rainfall infiltrates the landfill surfaces or when the groundwater table saturates a part of the landfill, a return to equilibrium moisture conditions require that water is excess of field capacity will drain from the landfill. As the water leachate drains from the landfill, it carries minerals and organic matter in suspension or as climate and geology of each landfill. In some geological formations, water drainage is primarily vertical, and unless a nearby groundwater source is affected, it is difficult to horizontally trace pollution from sanitary landfills. In other formations, in improper layers, interrupt the vertical drainage and convey the leachate horizontally until the impervious aquifer outgrowth and causes contamination of surface water. Got it? So sanitary landfill can be defined very simple way as the use of solid waste for land reclamation. A typical example being restoration by filling the original level of man-made surface, a dereliction such as a discussion surface, mineral excavation. Solid waste may also be used to improve natural features by raising the level of low-lying land to enable it to be used cultivation or for industrial development. Described in this way, sanitary landfilling has a virtue of being method of refuse disposal which confers environmental improvement by restoring dereliction or improving natural cantars. You might have seen so many places, children in near next to this Padarayanapura and all, the low-lying areas, landfills, they strongly fill it and use it for industries and construction of houses, etc. Most solid waste, however, are offensive materials which provide an attractive habitat for such diseases vectors as flies, rodents means rats, and which pass through the lengthy processes of decomposition, the products of which can cause serious water pollution. Thus, sanitary landfilling has two essential features which differentiate it from crude dumping. Only the site will be improved, not degraded by a change of level or selected. That is why children, they bring all this household, they demolish the house waste and all, no, they come and fill. Got it? Big low-lying areas, they fill it and they raise the area, dump it, they compress it. Got it? They see that it is dried and strong. When it becomes, then they start constructing houses and all. Simple engineering techniques are used to control the manner in which the waste are deposited so that dangers to the public health and environment are avoided. The method of control include two classical requirements. Water must be deposited and leveled in layers not exceeding about 2 meters in depth. The whole surface of each layer of waste is covered with soil, other suitable materials to depth to 15 to 25 centimeters on the same day as wastes are delivered to the site. Got it? Decomposition in sanitary landfill. Decomposition in sanitary landfills arises from chemical changes which are brought about by bacteria which are present in organic content of the waste when they are collected and which are multiplied rapidly, particularly when the waste are effectively sealed. These are three main types of bacteria which are found. They are used in commercial processes such as brewing and pathogenic, which are associated with human diseases. Both saprogenic and zygomorphic bacteria are found in the form of vary according to the simply based on supply of oxygen. Got it? There are aerobic bacteria which need oxygen. There are obligate aerobes for which oxygen is disadvantaged, and faculty anaerobes which can adapt themselves to varying supplies of oxygen. Just now I told you faculty in your online discussion I told you facultative and obligate anaerobic microbes, nematodes and all. Got it? During the first stage of decomposition, aerobic bacteria are dominate, but as the available oxygen declines, got it, anaerobic bacteria take their work. Facultative anaerobes will present all times. The bacteria have the ability to create certain colonial solution known as enzymes, which have the power to break up stable compounds. The enzymes are used by bacteria to reduce organic matter to form a nourishment for them, and in this process of breaking down and making soluble relatively stable compounds that we know as decomposition. The consequences of all these complex changes include temperature changes within the landfill, the production of gases, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, methane and sulfurated hydrogen, the production of soluble particulate decomposition products which can carried away from the site as leachate when water is processed through the landfill. Temperature. Irrespective of ambient temperature, the internal temperature of landfill rises soon after the deposit of waste as a result of heat emitted by the activities of anaerobic or aerobic bacteria. The main significance of this rise in temperature is possible significance in the destruction of pathogens. The conclusions reached by two British investigators, Jones and Owen, are like this. The temperature inside the tip rises early period decomposition to a point, in most cases higher than the thermal depth points of pathogenic germs. Pathogenic germs are difficult to keep alive even in the laboratory. The saprogenic organisms will tend to outnumber or exterminate them. Unless the organisms are spore formers, they will persist rapidly under ordinary conditions of heat, burial, or the common pathogenic bacteria likely to be found in the control trip or no spore formers. Gases. 4 gases are significant: sulfurated hydrogen, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide and methane. Sulfurated hydrogen is toxic, but only small traces have been found, and any large concentration would give ample warning of its presence by its extremely offensive odor. Carbon monoxide, which is present in large amount, is diffused very slowly and offers no risk on the surface. In excavation on sanitary landfill, it has been found at level of 1%, which could cause unconsciousness and death if a person were to be trapped. Because methane is diffused very slowly from the site, in concentration very much below the level at which ignition would occur, it rarely presents any risk. Conditions have arisen, however, where methane has been speeded through the fissures in the soil into buildings adjoining the landfill site. In such cases, a dangerous concentration could occur. Leachate. Organic and inorganic matter present in the crude refuse and products of decomposition can be leachated by water, either rainfall or groundwater, passing through the waterways. This is a potential cause of serious water pollution. In a serious experiments, it was found that a layer of refuse 1.5 meters deep, compacted and covered with soil, would absorb rainfall for several weeks and therefore produce a leachate equivalent to about one third the annual rainfall in that area, which was 635 millimeters. This leachate was 20 to 30 times strong and settled sewage having BOD of 6,000 to 7,000 mg per liter and contained organic carbon, ammonical and organic nitrogen, ammonium chloride and sulfate. The leachate contained several years, but within less than 3 years pollutant had declined to very low level except the sulfate. Got it, children? So this is how decomposition is done. Thank you.